right, we are live.
Sweet. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Gavin. Welcome to another Struggle Podcast. Our first ever podcast, man. I'm super hyped and excited.
Oh yeah. And I'm Jake. It's good to meet you guys. Can't really see you, but yeah, no, this is a podcast kind of based on like the raw aspect of life and our emotions. Like we're all struggling with something, and we all got something to share. But like this time, it's your turn, and we're here to talk about our testimonies as well.
Our personal experiences, mental health, addiction, and just bringing upon, some insight and some gratitude and grace, towards the young adult community. So I think it's a big thing to talk about, especially with our testimonies and our stories and the stuff that we've gone through. And just being able to be that voice for other people, who it's hard for them to speak up, you know what
Exactly. I mean? Yeah, testimony has a lot of weight behind it. But if somebody can't really get that weight off, or if they're like not even comfortable with getting that off around somebody that they know, talking to a stranger also really helps because it's just like some random person out there.
Yeah.
Like even if you need to call like the suicide hotline just to talk to somebody, like I've done that a couple of times, just to kind of know somebody's out there and they're live and they're listening. Like there's a real human being out there.
Well, not even just that, but just like a podcast, to where like someone feels like, oh, someone's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's like, where someone feels like, oh my gosh, like someone's there for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of young people don't understand is like, there's so much out there for people to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. Very
other
much.
Than like drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Self-harm, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all negatives. And like even if you're struggling with like an addiction, the one thing that helped me is to like replace it with something else. Like say I was smoking pot or whatever, then I would replace it with like just vaping, and then I would slowly gradually go down from there, and then I replaced it with like eating food. And obviously I can't gain weight, I look like a stick bug, but that worked for me. And like you get dopamine from all these different things, and different drugs will give you different amounts of dopamine, so some are harder to quit. So does food. I mean, food gives you dopamine, and like you eat that constantly, and you have those endorphins running.
I feel like that's like everyone goes through it, like sort of an addiction for something.
Exactly, whether it be caffeine, food, like a person,
workout, codependency.
Mm-hmm.
Codependency,
exactly.
I think, is a big thing. Especially at a young age too. I mean, I feel like you can get codependent to anyone. Like myself, for instance, I'm very codependent on my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very codependent on a significant other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same here.
Codependency is like a big thing that like when you go through a lot of trauma and mental health and stuff like that, you depend on another person for like that reliance.
Yeah, I did that a lot this year because I had a bad car accident, as I told you before, and so I was kind of going through the emotions and everything, and Lexi was just sitting like right by my side, and so I just started to become dependent on her. And then we went back and forth with dependency. But that 100%, like with a loved one, it's a big thing, especially if you spend a bunch of time with them.
No, for sure. I mean, like just to keep it real and raw too, though, like you can be codependent, but you can also like work on that.
Exactly.
You can cut that from your life.
And it's hard to like what works best for you works best for you. But sometimes it's
different for what works for me works different for you.
Right.
Like you don't struggle with addiction. I struggle with addiction. You struggle with mental health. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I have struggled with addiction. Yeah. Not as much as I used to, but yeah. No, I'm more about.
But it's different. You know what I mean? Like we've gone through different things with it. Like
exactly.
Whether mine was drugs and mental health, and yours was mental health and another substance. Or something like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and that's how. And a lot of people go through that, but you gotta like I said before, replace it with something, or like quit it, and like but. Do it in a positive way, and like in a positive, you got to look back on it and think, that was working for me. And if it doesn't work for you, then you're kind of going to look back on it and be like, I should have switched something up, because I'm still struggling somewhat with that problem that I have. And sometimes it just that feeling, that desire or like the sadness just never goes away.
So and like you have to deal with it. How do you change that up? Like what do you do like when you notice yourself going through something like that? Like how do you understand yourself more, and like what do you do to like help yourself out with it?
So I have like a crazy mind. So my thought process is I I'm so when I like get depressed or if I want to like use or whatever it is, I immediately go to work. Like I
Right.
immediately work on this type of thing on the videos. I go to edit.
So
Um,
editing is kind of like your
it's a
therapy.
release, but at the same time, like I circle back to think about why I was feeling that way after I'm done editing, because like my mind just gets too racing, and if I think about it too much, then it just like goes down the
Dude,
whole
those
rabbit hole.
racing thoughts suck.
They're nuts,
They
dude.
suck,
Hmm.
dude.
Everybody's got them, and they're there's something else, some deeper than
Especially,
others.
especially when like you can't like, especially when it's so hard to like, like you sit there and you're like, dude, like I just want my brain to calm
You
down.
get lost in the
But
sauce.
that's where I
Yeah,
think prayer comes in too.
exactly,
And
exactly. I was
like
gonna get to
scripture
that.
and stuff like that, and like
Hmm.
because I'm a believer of Christ, and you're a believer of Christ as
Hmm.
well. And if anyone else is a believer of Christ, man, like this is what this our main topic, our main purpose, is like to talk to target towards young adults who are struggling and people who are you know believers or who people who are coming to believe towards Christ. And I think that the biggest thing to realize is like prayer come or helps out in a long way.
Absolutely. You know the craziest thing. So after that crash, it was a nutty experience, and I went home, and I was just like, I've never felt that down bad ever before. Like the only thing I could do was like curl up in a ball, and actually, like it was actually painful. Like my whole body just ached, and it was just because I was thinking about it too much. And obviously, that was a very traumatic experience. But the only thing I could do was just praise the Lord. The only
Yeah,
thing I was sitting there just like bawling my
because
eyes
we're
out.
alive.
I know. Well, no, it wasn't like I wasn't the one in danger. It was somebody else, and like I had did what I did, and it was my fault, my split second decision that cost a lot for somebody else, and so I just sat there, but I just praised God, and like to this day, I still kind of am confused on why that happened, why I did that, but what I think it is that God wants you to. And like he was like sitting that like he was sitting up there smiling at me because he
He
knew.
wanted you to know the struggle.
Yes,
He
exactly.
wanted you to know the
He
struggle.
was teaching me something. Yeah, and I'm still learning it to this day. This is
Yeah.
a couple years ago, but yeah, I know he taught me quite a bit. To know the struggle was the big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and that's like realizing what the struggle is, especially,
Mhm.
is like, dude, and I feel like that's like, like whether it's, like we were saying, like, whatever your addiction is like mental health. Because I feel like you can get addicted to mental health,
You can absolutely, and that's
like
like
depression or
it's
anxiety.
such like an
It's such an
unorthodox.
yeah, it's such an
Yeah,
unorthodox thing to think about, or like
yeah.
such a weird thing to think about. But like, you can actually get
And that'd
addicted to
be
mental
good
health.
for you if you do it in a positive way.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
guess. I
Yeah.
mean,
I think it'd be good. Like you can get addicted to helping yourself. And like
yeah,
it's hard, but it's a lot easier to get addicted to like just being sad. Some people are happier being sad, like for real.
yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I feel like for myself, and I've been in a really dark place lately. And
Hmm.
I'll keep it, 100% with y'all. Like I've been in a real dark place for the last about 2 months, man. Like it's gotten to the point where like I've noticed the struggle. I struggle with borderline personality disorder and bipolar and
Hmm.
depression, and anxiety, man, and ADHD as well.
Hmm.
And on top of that, I'm being sober over 2 years off, drugs and alcohol.
Dude,
So
that's
like,
the one, dude.
yeah, man. I
Absolutely.
mean, like, and it all falls into place of like, dang, man, like this is really like what I'm struggling with,
Hmm.
But being aware of that,
That's something else. Like that'll give you chills once you start to like realize it more and more
yeah,
and
you
more.
start realizing, and like I think for myself, when I started understanding and realizing like what my mental health looked like and what my mental health was,
Hmm.
is where like I was like, damn, like either I can like sit in this
Hmm.
and I can suffer, or I can do something about it and find a solution for it.
Yeah, you got it.
You know what I mean?
That's
And
exactly
just
how I did.
the
Yeah.
head on the nail, like
Hmm.
pounding it straight in. Like I can either sit in and suffer this, and a big quote of mine that I love using is like, "Pain is necessary, suffering is optional."
Hmm.
Pain is necessary,
Hmm.
suffering is optional, because we will go through the pain, but it's optional.
Yeah.
Or pain is necessary. It's necessary.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through some sort of pain in life.
Right. Exactly.
Everyone goes through some sort of hurt, broken or breakups, losing someone, losses, deaths.
Hmm.
Everyone goes through something. No one's perfect.
Right. And with those two phrases, like suffering is optional, but and like pain is you need it. And like most people, I mean, I'm not gonna say most people, but like a few years ago, I would have like confused the two because they sound very similar. but
Yeah.
there's a huge difference if you think about
Huge
it.
difference.
Huge difference.
Like you can suffering from that pain. That
Mhm.
is on you to
You could just have pain and, like, you can be happy with
like for
it.
me, like I got pain, man. Like I've lost so many people to addiction and mental health and suicide and stuff like that. And like I lost my dad back in 2018 to a
Mm,
drug related death. You know, like and I've lost so many friends, but I don't let that pain. You know, like I have that pain. I'm broken from it,
mhm,
but I don't suffer from it.
mhm.
You know, I don't let just sit there and
Ye
dwell in it, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
oh my God, like why did God have to take my dad from me? Why did God have to take my best friend from me? Why did
Mhm,
God have to take all these people from me
mhm.
and just dwell on it? Like,
Yeah,
there's no
and
point of that.
see, most like, the most asked question, I think, on this earth about God, if, like, you're a secular person, um, is, like, why if God exists, why did bad things happen? And I think my answer to that is, like, he gave us, the wonderful gift of free will. Like,
Yeah.
that's, like, the one of the biggest gifts that he's given us besides life and everything else. We are a gift, everything's a
Eternity.
gift. But like, there wouldn't be good without evil. And,
Hmm.
like, there's a huge if it was just good, like, no bad things would happen, and there wouldn't be
This
good. You
world
wouldn't
would
know a
be, yeah,
difference.
this
You
world
wouldn't
would be an amazing
yeah,
place.
you wouldn't know the difference between good or right or wrong. And
Yeah.
that's like a huge thing, I think, for us to kind of go through this life thing, like to get super broad spectrum. Like, God could have made the earth any other way. He could have made reality. Like, we could have been able to teleport. We could have been able to walk through walls. We could have had like 4 arms and like 3 heads.
Addiction would never be a thing.
No, it wouldn't. I
Mental
mean,
health would never be a thing.
because I mean, you'd be addicted to something, but we won't have the words to say that you're addicted. Like, you could
Yeah.
be smoking pot constantly,
That's
and
what I
like,
think about sometimes is like who came up with the word addiction?
I
Who
know,
came up with the word mental health? And
it's
you know,
weird,
like
dude. It's weird.
how did drugs ever become a thing? You know, I think
Yeah.
about that sometimes, and
I mean, I think drugs are just discovered, and people just were like, "Ooh, that's
there's
really
something
cool.
like that, you
That's
know.
something." But the words for them, that's
And it has a lot of meaning behind it.
you know,
Words are powerful.
and even in different languages, like they have different words and different meanings,
Yeah.
and it's super convoluted. I was just trying to learn Arabic one time. Don't even waste your time, bro. It's ridiculous. I maybe got 2 words, but I still don't remember what they were. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, for sure.
but man, it's weird societies out there.
No, and I think with that, you know, like words have meaning to it. You know,
Mhm.
there's a big meaning behind words, and there's a big positive aspect behind it and negative aspect. You know, like
Yeah.
especially when you're struggling with mental health or addiction.
Mhm.
How are you? What are you gonna do? You know, like for myself, you know, like my parents have watched me go through addiction for the last 6 years,
Mm.
or
Mhm.
well, 8 years.
I'd say about the same for me too.
You know,
I
about
think.
the last 8 years, you know, like how do you help another, like especially a young kid,
Mhm.
a young adult, or even the youth? You know, like what are you supposed to do to even help someone when they're
Yeah, it's
struggling? You
rough.
know, like there's only so much you could say.
Mhm.
You know, like I know when I struggled with, you know, when I was going through addiction, I don't think there was really much my parents could do for me.
Mhm. Yeah, no, exactly. Because 'cause you're just gonna hide it either way, and they're
Yeah,
just you're gonna see, that was my problem too, is, like, when I was using, like, I would just say I wasn't and then, like, did it anyways, and that's how it goes, but and then I got to a point where,
it was like when do you reach out?
yeah.
When is enough enough?
Well, I didn't really reach out, I don't think. I'm blessed enough that I could kick it myself,
Yeah,
and, like, it also what I used gave me a lot of anxiety after, like, I took breaks, and I couldn't do it anymore. It would give me panic attacks or something, so that also helped, and that was also from God because I asked him, like, "How do I do this? Like, how do I stop?"
yeah.
But, like, it re
So is that where you found your faith? Is like when you stopped using?
no, no, I've grown up in a Christian household, and, like, I really, like, there was one night I was just, like, sitting exactly where I'm sitting right now, and, like, I was using, and I just, kinda looked up, and it's like God came down and almost slapped me in the face, like, literally, I could see something come down.
Yeah,
Not lit well,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
part of what I was on, I'm sure,
yeah,
but, like, it came down, it said, "You're dumb, like, you're actually," like, it was in my mind too, like, "You're dumb," and, like, and I said, like, "Yeah, I know." And then, like, after that, like, I really slowed down, and, like, I got to realize, like, I could lie to anybody else about my addiction. Like, I keep using and lie. Obviously, that doesn't make me feel good, but at the same time, like, there's a point where I just didn't care. But I cannot lie to myself,
yeah.
and I'm hurting myself most of all, and it's just it's too much stress, and so I just kinda melted off from there, but
I feel like that's like a big thing to understand and realize, like, oh wow, like this is really where your faith is gonna hit,
mhm,
and where
mhm.
it's really gonna get like where you're really gonna be tested.
I had some
Okay.
crazy experiences from God. Like not even only when not even when I was just on it. It was ridiculous. Like all throughout that experience, like my addiction. Holy cow! Like there was a time I was sitting in this hammock, and I was out of my mind. I was high,
Yeah.
and like I was sitting in this hammock in my backyard, and it was in the summer, and like I was kind of sleeping, but then like I kind of went into a trance almost. But I mean, when you smoke, I mean you that's how it goes. But I looked up at the trees, and like I just thought love, and then I looked around, and the sun shining through the trees, each one was a heart, and then I was like, and I immediately thought God, and I'll never forget that, and that was one of the first of the craziest experiences of my life.
I've had the same kind of experience, but
Dude.
it was like I was living in a sober house. I was like 18.
Mhm.
Like I was like 18 years old, living in the sober house. I got sober at 18.
Congrats.
And like this last time around, I got sober at 18. And I was living in the sober house with like 14 other dudes. And
Mhm.
I was out smoking one night and smoking a cigarette or something like that. I think, or I was like, on the patio or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like look up to the sky and my arms like start floating in the air.
Oof.
Like when you go
Yeah.
praise and when you worship and stuff like that
Mhm.
at church, like and you put your
Yeah.
hands up in the air and like you're giving yourself to Christ
Yeah.
and you're just letting it releasing and letting out everything to God to
Mhm.
to the temple and stuff like that and to the altar. It's
That's
like that's like what it
crazy.
was, but like no music was playing and
That's
like I could
nuts,
feel
dude.
my arms floating in the air. My eyes were like going like
Mhm.
this and like my arms were floating like
He
this.
was forcing you to
And like I
praise
was
him,
like
dude.
giving everything to God.
Wow.
And I was like, it was just, and like tears started coming out of
Mhm.
my eyes. I was like, this is so weird. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, dude, it's intense.
Yeah, it was just very tense. And then just like, I've had other like really crazy God experiences where like I was at a, gosh, what was it? I was at a faith based recovery meeting.
Mhm.
It's like last March or something like it was a few days after St. Patrick's Day
Oh, okay.
last year.
Okay.
And shout out to my boy Dom if he listens to this or if he watches this. But I went there one night and I wasn't even. This was my first time back at this faith based meeting in like
Mhm.
over 2 years,
Dang.
or like over a year.
Mhm.
Wasn't planning on going to this meeting, and next thing you know, I'm at this meeting, and I got invited by a family friend, and I sit down, and my family friend was late, and so I sat down, and this lady next to me, she looked at my arm, and I had like this Roman numerals on my arm and stuff like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's great!" She just starts freaking out.
Mhm.
I'm like, "This is so weird. Like, why are you freaking out?"
That's whack.
And she's like, "That's my son's birthday."
Really? Dang.
I was like, "What?"
Hmm.
And or she was like, "It's like, yeah, it was her son's birthday or something like that."
Mhm.
And she's like, "I need to show you something." I'm like,
Mhm.
"What is going on?"
Yes.
And she told me, she said, her son was going through like some charges, like some really serious charges
Mhm.
that I'm not gonna throw out there.
Mhm.
And 2 years before this happened, like 2 years prior, her son got into serious trouble at like
Mhm.
17 years old and got locked up.
Mhm.
And 2 weeks or a few weeks after he got locked up, a UPS driver came to her house and had the same tattoo.
Yo. Hey,
And
yo, that's whack, dude.
yeah, it's weird.
It's so weird.
And so like found out that like he had the same, like the UPS driver had the same tattoo. And she's like, that's like so weird that like you have my son's birthday, blah blah blah.
That's really weird, yeah.
And then 2 years later, her son, who's now like a good friend of mine, I don't really talk to him much anymore, but he was going through another serious charge
Mm.
for some other stuff that happened a few days prior.
Mhm.
And he just like left college and stuff like that and moved home. She was like, this is so weird, like what a crazy convenience this is. Like, I want you to meet my son.
Mm.
I was
Mhm.
like, what? She was like, I want you to meet him
I'd be
tonight.
like, "All right, lady,
Yeah,
listen
I thought she was like
here."
crazy and stuff like that. And she introduced me to her son, and like I met him that night. Like he was there that night.
Dang.
And I was just getting to know him a little bit. I was like, where you from? Like, where you live at? He said, I live in Fridley. I was
You
like, no way. Like, so do I,
Dude,
bro.
that's nice.
Come to find out, he tells me he lives on the same street as me.
No way,
He
bro.
lived 20 feet behind my apartment.
Holy cow, what the heck?
You know what I mean? So like, what
Dang.
crazy experiences that God gives you.
Yeah, dude,
And
that's
like that's like
nuts.
where I felt that like, oh my God, like this is really where like my faith is coming in.
Yeah.
And like really where my faith is coming into like my addiction and my
Mhm.
recovery and my sobriety and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
this is where I know that like there's a power greater than myself.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
something that's higher out there
It's
who
the
I
one and
call
only God.
Christ.
Yeah. The one we call Christ.
Because like there's no way that they'd be coming from anybody
No,
anything
yeah,
else.
dude. That's like, see, all these, see, when God's speaking to you, you you have to like listen first of all. But once you listen, it's gonna knock you off your feet, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's like, listen here, folk. This is like, there's some crazy experiences if you just let him like show you the way. If you just like let
If
him
you seek him,
in, if you, yeah,
especially.
if you seek him, if you let him in and like read the scripture and just like, even if you want to pull out your phone and just read the first verse of the day. It'll remind you too. You can just set it. And that's like one step to just getting to know. You don't even have to like go any further than that, just to like get an idea if you've never done that before. I'd encourage you to just take out your phone, get the YouVersion Bible app, and or any Bible app for that matter. But it'll teach you something. If you're struggling with something throughout the day, it has a whole like a little template that you can like have a little devotional for yourself and like a time of prayer if you're really into that. And I'm sure most of the people watching have heard of it or seen it, or they know about God and Jesus. May not believe it, but that might help you get to know him a little bit better, and
Yeah.
that's a big part.
Like there's this scripture in Acts of the Apostles 17. It says chapter 27, it says his purpose was for the nations to seek after God and perhaps feel their way toward him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us.
Mm,
And that's a
hmm
big scripture that I love reading because that's right, that's true. Like he is not far from any one of us.
He's like right next to us,
He's
basically.
right
He's
here,
right
dude.
here. He's right
Like
here.
he's
He's
right here,
infinite. We're like
like
surrounded.
and like another like crazy instance that happened is like how we met.
Yeah, that was nuts, dude.
You know, like we met through Instagram and like you want to share the story?
Yeah, I mean, so I hit him up on Instagram, and I think we just explained this, but
I don't remember if you
yeah,
did.
yeah, like, I hit him up on Instagram, and he didn't respond at first, and so I hit him up again, and he was like, "Yeah, cool, whatever," and then I hit him up like a couple more times, like throughout like a few days. I sent him a paragraph, and I was like, "Hey, I love your testimony. I've seen the stuff on your page," and so then he's like, "Yeah, let's FaceTime right now," and I was like, "Hold on," and I was
Dude,
like, I got a little anxiety, bro. I was like,
I had business that
dude,
needed to
I
be
know.
talked.
Dude, that was funny. Yeah, and then so he called me in the car and we just like started talking. The first thing you asked me was like, what's your beliefs in like
Yeah,
Christianity? And I was like, dude, my boy, my boy.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one right there. That's a good question for like starting off meeting somebody like that. Most people just don't do that. But I mean, you kind of got to get to
Because
know
like I know for
somebody.
myself, like I'm trying to surround myself around people who are
No,
believers. You
of
know what I
course,
mean?
absolutely. And I'm trying to do that too. And like God put you here for a reason, bro. That's so
Exactly,
whack. And we get along so
exactly.
well. Oh man, like the first time we hung out, I had a little bit of anxiety, but like at the same
It's kind
time,
of
I was.
awkward. I'm
It
not
was
gonna
super
lie.
awkward. No, it's very very awkward. But like that's how it goes, and like that's the first barrier you have to get over,
Yeah,
and now it's just like normal. Now it's just like no
it's just
anxiety.
like
It's
you're like
nothing,
my best
dude.
friend.
I know
Like,
it's literally it's come up so quick, dude.
dude, I know.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But yeah, no, it's just a crazy story on how like it all started, like how we met and stuff like that. Like that
And
was
now we
like
have
a
this whole setup. We're
yeah,
just
like just
doing
all this,
podcasts.
like we just met like what Tuesday
Yeah.
in person,
Now we're making YouTube channels. We're making Instagrams.
Instagram,
We're making all these
TikTok,
different pages. We
for
started like right away. We started with scripts. We started right away. And I'm sure that happens a lot out there in this industry. But like, just wait till it happens to you because it's it's cool,
yeah, I
dude.
know because I don't know about you, but like I just like I want to make a difference in this world, man. Like
Absolutely, absolutely.
especially when it comes to like the youth or even the young adults, you know, like someone who's struggling, like it's something that not a lot of people are doing out there right now, you know, because I think that people are mainly focusing so much on like partying and drinking and
Yeah,
drugging and like
I think
going out
so.
and doing stupid things, man. Like I like sit like it's a Saturday morning. It's 11 o'clock, man.
Yeah,
Like we're sitting here making a
we've been here
podcast.
since like 8, something like
You
9 or
know, yeah. So
whatever.
it's like
Yeah.
8, 9 o'clock. You know, like I'd rather be doing this type of stuff than being hungover this morning.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, I like to go out and like make videos for people, and sometimes they do some dumb shit, and it's funny. Like I'm just filming. I'm putting out a YouTube video of us sledding behind a car, and it's some good stuff. I'll have to show it to you after
Yeah,
this.
for
But
sure.
by the way, we have about 5 minutes left because we're trying to keep it kind of the attention span. My attention span is a
Dude, my
goldfish.
attention span's horrible.
Yeah, it's bad, dude. It's all those TikTok reels, it's all those shorts on YouTube. It's ridiculous. Like I can't even watch a full YouTube video without taking out my phone
Dude, neither
anymore.
can
It
I.
sucks. It.
I have to like take breaks throughout it, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man. I mean, I think that's. I think that it's an amazing thing to think about, like, or
Yeah.
just something to think about, Is like where does your faith stand right now?
Yeah. That's one of the questions we have for you guys as viewers is like,
Where does your faith stand?
yeah, just question yourself, if not like comment and like converse with somebody else. And again, we're working on getting an Instagram up, and we check our DMs every single day. And we'll talk about that in the next podcast. We
Because
might,
next podcast we're
yeah,
gonna have a
yeah,
guest.
we are we gonna have it?
We
Yeah, I
are
think,
gonna have
yeah,
a guest.
I'm ready, dude. I'm ready.
We are
That's gonna
gonna
be
have a
nice.
guest, so we are gonna make it like it's gonna get going, man. And like I think like this first episode is gonna be a little rocky,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we've done this like this is our fifth take.
It's like our fifth take, but like keeping it real and raw. Like this is like coming from the heart, though. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
We
Like,
know we didn't have a script. I tried to like kind of write out a few like introduction things. We used that, but then afterwards we've just freestyled. We're not doing anything with that. We're just it has to
you
be
can't, man. Like
real. I know
you just have to be real, raw, and honest.
you can have bullet points of like different topics or topic questions, but like still like it's a raw us. Like it
Yeah,
has to be.
it's just a real raw us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just how it's gotta be. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather it be real and raw than like it being fake.
I know that doesn't like
Like
that's just content right there. This is like meaningful like
because like we
partnerships.
want y'all to like we want to make a difference for y'all. Like if we want something to have something for y'all to look forward to every week.
Oh yeah, and
like,
we're young and dumb, and hopefully we'll make you laugh a little bit. But I hope the majority of the time, hopefully we'll make you think, because that's what we're doing on this. We're just thinking back and forth, and hopefully you can watch our relationship progress, because like this is
and our smiles.
a couple times, yeah, and a couple times that we've
and
met.
Our confidence in it. Too,
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
you can see some progression.
The progression.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, it's been nice. It's been a good talk.
Man. I mean, hey, if anyone out there needs support, man, we're here.
We are. Don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out.
Our stuff will be in the comments if you want to go check us out, and DM us, and we're there to help. That's what we're here for. Give you some smiles.
For sure, real is raw.
Absolutely. All right.
Raw is real.
Raw is real. Facts.